Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Straight No Chaser podcast. It's me, your host, Bishop. I am here, and today we are going to have a great conversation about religion and politics, okay? Now, I'm going to ask you all a question. Have you ever noticed how politics in America have turned into a Sunday service? You know what I mean? You got the hymns, build the wall, lock her up. You got the altar calls, and you got the saints and sinners. And Lord, don't you dare question the pastor, the politician, or you're going straight to hell, or at least Twitter jail, right? So we're going to talk today about how politics hasn't just influenced religion, that in many ways it's become its own religion. For some folks, Trump rallies are the new church. You understand? They don't even go to church because, and for others, voting blue is the same as praying for deliverance. Okay? So we're going to talk about how we got here, how politics became a faith, how churches themselves got political, and what it means when the ballot box looks more like a collection plate. I think that this is right on time with everything that we see happening going on right now in America. It's getting harder and harder to see the separation between church and state. Very difficult. So let's start at the point of like the faith of politics, right? So when you look at politics, it includes several rituals, just like religion, right? Just like religion. Politics has its rituals, it has its rallies, its conventions, its debates. That is the equivalent of church services. It ain't really much different. It's where people come together who are like minded to meet and discuss strategy or to talk about, their experiences, to identify next steps. It's all the same. None of it's any different. Your leaders, when it comes to politicians, that the equality in relation to religion is they're seen as a savior or a messiah. Don't believe me? Trump is seen as the chosen one. Obama was seen as the hope and change prophet. All of that stuff has religious undertones. And I don't think most of the time America understands the religious undertones that comes with that stuff. Hell, you even have martyrs in America. MLK, JFK. Hell, even Trump treats the January 6th rioters into martyrs, which is crazy. And think about it. The way folks talk about Trump, you'd think that man walked on water. You would think, because that's the religious connotation. But in reality, he just slipped on a golf course. But the way they speak of him, speak of other politicians, speak of their party or their opposition is very religious like. I don't even want to say it's religious light, but it's religious light. And there's some irony in all of this because these secular people who claim to be atheists, all those people claim they don't do religion, but they will be tribal to their politics harder than some Jehovah's Witnesses at your front door. And that's the truth. Because even though they're not for religion, that doesn't mean they're not for tribalisms and clubs and cliques and groups. That doesn't mean any of that. It doesn't mean any of that. It's just saying they don't do religion. That doesn't mean they don't do all the other stuff. It doesn't mean that. Now, we weren't always this way, y'all. It wasn't always this way about the church being so infused in government. And I find it ironic in America anyway. Because when you think back to founding fathers, right? Think back to your founding fathers. One of the reasons for coming to this settled land, land that was technically already occupied by another group of people, the natives, right, was to get away from the infusion of the Church of England, all caught up in everything and dictating to people how they could live their lives. So then the forefathers come here, decide, hey, this is America. And that was supposed to be the beginning of our separation, but it didn't end, right? Because there was still a lot of religious hold on everybody. But then in 1954, America did something special. They created this thing called the Johnson Amendment. And I don't know if you've heard about that, but whether you have or haven't, the Johnson Amendment, it limited churches from endorsing candidates. A church could not endorse a candidate and keep their tax exempt status, right? Because religion has nothing to do, it shouldn't have anything to do with politics, but they're married. They're very closely tied together. Now, Trump promised in 2016 he would totally destroy the Johnson Amendment. And the evangelicals cheered. And not only did Trump make good on the promise, he made good on it, and the churches are doing it. Now churches are openly endorsing, they're fundraising for candidates, they're hosting candidates without fear of losing their tax exempt status. That's insane. Because frankly, your government entangled with church. I wouldn't want to be a part of a church that wants to be entangled with government. That's man, that's not God. So I don't even understand it from that point of view, right? But when you look at how these churches are set up and how it's like how it's invaded the church home, pastors are blessing candidates on stage. Churches are hosting Patriot Sundays. What does being a patriot have to do with getting into the kingdom of heaven, according to Christians? It shouldn't be anything, right? And then you got this rise of Christian nationalism, right? And it's like this whole thought process that your religion determines how patriotic you may or may not be, right? Imagine going to church for communion and getting past a MAGA hat instead of bread and wine. Imagine that. Now, I don't want you to lose sight of the fact that your church has always been a social hub for your community, always has been. But now, in addition to your church being a social hub, it's also a political hub now, too. It's a one-stop shop for rich and powerful people to come and take advantage of you. Served up on a platter by your pastor. And see, and again, those similarities back to when it comes to politics, religion and politics, they have a lot of similarities, more alike than different. They both thrive on fear. Fear. Think about it. Hellfire or immigrants. Just take your pick. Either way, you shook. Either way, you shook. Republicans use fear of the other. Immigrants, LGBTQ plus, crime, anything that's different is a problem. Democrats use the fear of losing rights, abortion bans, fascism, climate collapse. See, they're both using fear, just in different ways. But both are sermons designed to keep you coming back, donating, and spreading the word. Notice it never really solves anything because a solution wouldn't net any money in your pockets, wouldn't net any rewards from you to them. See, when I was a kid, I remember, going to church with my family sometimes, and the pastor used to say, if you don't tithe, God will get you. Now it turns into, if you don't vote, Trump will get you. It's the same script, y'all. It's just a different villain. Pay attention to that. Pay attention to that. Another thing to consider, and what I find the most interesting, is watching Christians worship false idols. Right? But it's all, this is my opinion. I think that a lot of the times people worship false idols because you spend so much time idolizing the entities or the beings or the ideas that you like anyway. So it's very easy to throw in a couple of false idols in there too. Think about it. The Jesus fish bumper stickers ain't no different than the Trump flags the size of bed sheets. Ain't no difference. It's still the same thing. See, back in the day, they used to say, what do they used to say? Render unto Caesar what's Caesar's. Now it's render unto Trump your whole retirement fund and a GoFundMe. That's crazy. But this is also the direct result of that damn prosperity gospel. I told y'all I'm not a friend of prosperity gospel at all. A pastor that has a private jet, a helicopter, this is a business, sir. That's a business. When you start doing stuff like that, that is a business. I have no desire to support your business because you won't even be honest about what you're selling. You're not trying to save souls. You're trying to rack up coins. That's what you're trying to do. That's what you're trying to do. Because I don't think if many of you even noticed how prosperity gospel morphed into political prosperity gospel. Vote for me and your life will be blessed. That's what God wants you to do. How come these people know everything about God except the things they're not supposed to do? That's what I want to know. How come they don't know that? That's one of the most interesting parts to me. They know everything but what they shouldn't be doing in the name of God. Then the church split, like denominations. Politics splits people into sects too. The church is split, politics is split. Evangelicals are the Republican base. Black churches historically, that tends to go back to the civil rights movement, and it includes the Democratic base. Catholic bishops, that's abortion politics. That's exactly what that is. Families split like congregations after a messy church fight. It gets so now that some families can't even have dinners together. Why? Because if they have dinners together, it might spark a conversation that turns into something that's not good for anybody that's there. So they don't want to do that anymore. See, it's not just politics anymore. Now it's about quality of life and all that other stuff. It's about all of that. And the biggest draw about what politics is all about, and the biggest thing it has in common with religion, is that money, baby. That money. Because see, a church will tell you to pass the plate, and y'all will do it. But the political campaigns and stuff, all they do is send you fundraising emails and then threaten you, if you don't send $20 today, the devil wins. Come on. Come on. It's not that simple. Now, I want to ask you something. Have you ever noticed how both the pastor and the politician end up in a nice house on a hill with a luxury car, and you still catching the bus? Okay. That's not an accident. So you have to remember, churches are tax shelters. So are political action committees. Those super PACs. Oh, well, they're tax shelters too, where people can just funnel money, as much money as they want to, into it, as long as it's a super PAC. As long as it's a super PAC. Again, using that fear of the unknown, using religion, all of those things to keep you compliant and obedient. Compliant and obedient. Now, politicians, when I see this stuff, when I see all these things happening, I think to people, especially people who say they're very religious, I always go, but politicians are false prophets, though. They're false prophets. They make promises they know they can't keep. They can't heal you. They can't give you prosperity, and they damn sure ain't gonna give you student loan forgiveness. Right? They always tell you things. They use some of the same language and terms that you hear in religion: anointed, called, chosen. Nobody's asking for a politician to be a god. Why? Because politicians are men. They're humans. They make mistakes. So why would I follow you knowing that versus follow what I should be following according to whatever I may have been taught? You know, we used to go to the Bible for revelations, but now people go to Reddit threads for that. They don't even go to the source of where the information is supposed to be anymore. They're too busy having their own conversations. Their own conversations. Now, I don't think we're lost and can't get it back and can't return to a place of being normal, but that's going to take a lot of work. Because, see, at the core of it all, politics and religion both compromise salvation. But the people still broke. They still sick and they still fighting. They all promise this salvation that never comes. We gonna be good. We gonna make you whole. They're not gonna do any of those things. And the way you're gonna reclaim your church is by calling out your church leader saying, we don't want that in here. That's not why we're here. That's man. We're not here for that. That's why I'm challenging y'all today in this podcast to ask you, what do you believe in beyond these systems? Do you have any beliefs beyond these systems? Do you have anything of value that you can provide in the context of the discussion about these systems? Good, bad, or indifferent? Good, bad, or indifferent? I just know that I'm tired of seeing rich and powerful people use religion to their benefit, to exploit communities and people. And politics have been this religion for a minute because people aren't challenging them, right? Churches have become political because people aren't challenging it. And I'm telling you, the danger is losing truth and community in the process. Because if politics is the new church, then America is the biggest mega church in the world. The problem is we're all stuck in the choir and nobody's allowed to leave until we pay our tithe. I don't know about you, but I'm not okay with that. I want you to reflect on this discussion I've had with you today, because this is a big deal that folks have lost their way. I thank you for joining me today. If you like more of these unfiltered conversations, don't forget to check out my Patreon. And that tells you all the different places that you can find great content that's engaging. I thank you so much for joining me today. I really do. I appreciate it. Right? I do. I appreciate you. And I want to remind you, don't let nobody live rent free in your head. Don't feed the trolls. And you can accomplish anything you put your mind to as long as you stay consistent. Peace.